Hey everybody, Mark here. I'm doing this video, this kind of a special video for my friend Paul Griffin Shumway. Paul, it's his birthday today on Friday 13th, so happy birthday, Paul. For those who don't know Paul, Paul is a very remarkable person. He's an amazing practitioner and a really good friend, and he touches the lives of everyone he encounters. He's really an awesome person. So Paul had kind of tagged me in a post on his Facebook, and so I'm going to kind of read you what he wrote, and this is kind of my response. So Paul wrote, "I was once a deeply spiritual person. Various events, some traumatic, some not, have crumbled my beliefs. I don't like this. I want to believe again. I have partaken in many rituals and workings to make the world better. I see and read about groups doing the same. My own partner is part of an intentions group, but I never see the desired results manifest. It may have been worse without these magical workings is a false equivalency. What is the point? What am I missing? How do I find my way back to belief?" So I wanted to respond to that, Paul, and kind of help you out here. So one thing is we're all doing magic constantly. Um, Passively, we have an intention and we're manifesting that with how we live our lives, and actively, of course, with very centered and purposeful acts of magic. So of course, here's the question, why isn't the world a better place if all these people are doing magic? Uh, Part of that is because there's a lot to change. There's a lot to transform. We're not just transforming ourselves, but we're trying to transform the world around us. I kind of want to refer back to alchemy on here. And with alchemy, you have to really change yourself and undergo a lot of spiritual transformation before you become the philosopher's stone that becomes an agent of change in the world around you. So part of it is we're still a bunch of hurt people kind of hurting others by accident or hopefully not on purpose. And we're still evolving, we're still growing. So I think a lot of the trends and a lot of the things that really need to be taken into account before we talk about everyone like doing all these group magical workings is everyone doing the work on themselves. So that's the first thing that I think really needs to be put in mind. The other thing is if you're doing magic to change the world, are you willing to have those changes happen with yourself? So if I'm doing, like, let's say, working to create more compassion and love in the world, am I creating more compassion and love with my own life? And am I willing to have those changes? So I think that's part of it. The other thing is, to be quite frank, I think everyone's doing too much separately. I think we need to do more group work. I think we need to like tie our intentions together. I see this as I'm a member of several countercultures and special interest groups, um, kind of like by genetics and by design and by inclination. And one thing I do see in a lot of these groups that are alternative or different or other is that there's not a lot of cooperation. Within those groups, there's a lot of infighting. Trying to get those groups to coordinate with other groups is almost impossible sometimes. And I say this as someone who's worked with like lots of nonprofits and volunteer groups and spirit, all sorts of stuff, through my life. And political and environmental as well. I mean, I've got stories. But the point being, within these groups, I've seen time and time again, they can't even figure out how to make their own decisions. And that's where I see a lot of groups fall apart. Now, the antidote for this is when you're in a group, just acknowledge, hey, y'all, something's going to go bad. I'm going to make mistakes as a leader if I'm the leader. You're going to make mistakes. There's going to be some hurt feelings. Like things are great now and everything's awesome, but at some point, there's going to be a problem and it's going to suck. So we have to make an agreement together to acknowledge that bad things going to happen, but we need to use it as an opportunity for growth as opposed to something for us to really get into our egos and butt heads and break the group apart. So if we look at these things as opportunities of growth, both as an individual and as an organization, that's going to do a lot. And I think that's where a lot of change can happen. Just getting that sense of cooperation, and by having those opportunities of growth, we can grow and evolve together. And then we can take that outside of the groups we're in and translate that into other things we're members of, whether it be our families, our jobs, things of that nature. Um, Amit said something really interesting as well, how he wants to believe again. And who doesn't want to believe again? And I think part of that is when you're kind of out of a place where you've had lack of faith. Sorry about my phone's going. There's when you have kind of stumble in your faith or your belief or your practice. I think it's important to like get back on the horse, metaphorically speaking. Is do something small, and then from that small thing go to something larger. So I'll take an example from my personal life. I was going through a really dark time, and I had a to-do list of things I wanted to do. And I pretty much gave myself to despair, and I kind of thought I was done with life. And by having a to-do list of things to do that I felt were necessary, I did like something small. Then I had the confidence to do something bigger, and then I kind of went on from there. Um, and I highly advocate people to do that. Make a to-do list, get the things that are smaller, the medium things, and the difficult things, and then start off gradually. And that's not just about magic or spirituality. I mean, that's just something for life. Gaining your confidence back, gaining your self-esteem back, and going from that gradually. With that kind of that game plan that you have. Um, I think something else in terms of like spirituality and like wanting to believe. I think it's also cultivating what I like to call symptoms of spiritual growth. And what I mean by that is there's people I admire greatly. I'll give you an example like Oberon Zell, for example. Oberon's done a lot of great things for the pagan movement. And every time I hang out with Oberon, it's like I'm hanging out with the biggest kid in the world. Like Oberon has a glint of his eye of magic. He cultivates a sense of awe and wonder. And I see this in many other spiritual people who are published, people who have ran groups, and people who haven't. Even everyday people that aren't part of like necessarily a set spirituality, whether they're of the pagan and magical cult worlds or not. And I've also seen this in like people who are Buddhist and Hindu and Christian. I, I've seen this across the board. And I think part of that is connecting to joy, that one of the fundamental forces of the universe, aside from love, I think love is the most fundamental force in the universe, but it's also joy, wonder, awe. Cultivating these things that show a healthy relationship with yourself and the universe, I think are essential. And I think this is especially important to attack these problems in a more of an emotional way as opposed to it's more of an emotional and nonlinear way as opposed to like a linear and mental way. Because our thinking gets in the way. We get very focused on our monkey minds, that chatter that we have, that is this the right thing? Is this not? Should I go with that or not? If I'm playing chess, should I choose black or white? I mean, there's a million different decisions we make, and we can get caught up in so many different ways. So I feel that attacking things from a more emotional, more fulfilling, a more encompassing way, I think is really beneficial when you want to cultivate belief, not just in yourself, but in the world that you're a part of. I think the other thing that kind of answer Paul's question is what is the point? So I'm just going to go there. You know, the in the terms of things like politics and magic, and I've seen this with both sides. Both political sides. And people said, I'm going to do all this magic to make my candidate win. It's going to make the world a better place. And these are like pretty decent practitioners. These people I would say, know what they're doing. And it doesn't work. So here's a question. If everyone's doing all this magic to make a thing happen and they're working together, why isn't it happening? Right? I think part of that is magic is very co created. And that as we talk about the collective unconscious, I think we can talk about the collective magical conscious in the terms of all of our intents, all the things we're manifesting, and in a very energetic, magical, non-linear way, we're all co-creating and trying to reconcile what we want reality to be. And I think most of these conversations happen without words, without anything very active. I think this is just something that happens that we're all connected. That happens as a symptom of being connected spiritually. And it's happening really behind the scenes spiritually. And I think this is where things get a little mysterious and a little weird. So I really think that even though someone does magic for something that they want to happen in the world and it doesn't work, that's okay. There is no lack of purpose in trying. And I think the fact of trying to do something, of trying to act, of getting off your armchair, not being an armchair magician, but actually doing magic and actively trying to live your life, I think that's powerful, no matter what the outcome. There is power and joy in trying and in putting that effort in doing magic. So, on a last note, if magic is co-created, like all the spells we're doing, all of our intentions, all the manifestation work, all the affirmations, all that stuff, it's all working together in concert. I think the most important thing is to cultivate that sense of love, that sense of joy, that sense of awe, wonder. Cultivate these things so that those can spread. That we can make the world a better place by connecting and focusing on the things that are good, on goodness. And I think that's going to do us a lot better than practicing even a lot of spells, just living your life in that magical way. So I hope that helps you, Paul. I hope that helps some other people watching this video. Happy birthday, Paul. I wish you all the magic and love and joy that the gods and the universe and the ancestors can throw your way. You're an amazing person. I have much love for you. Have a happy birthday this Friday the 13th. And for everyone else, uh, blessings, and I'll talk to you soon.